Today on the show, we're going to look at what the best way is to use phones in business. Now, if you're a long time listener of the show, I know you think another show about the phone, but yes, it's something that we shouldn't grow tired of talking about because there are still people who are using the phone the wrong way or using it in an ineffective way. And of course, something happened recently that made this come back that made this top of mind for me again. And we'll talk about the scenario at the end of these suggestions that I'm going to run through. And hopefully, it's going to get those of you who are still not using the phone the right way to, how do I put it, get you guys to repent and use the phone the right way. And it's one of my goals that at some point in this series, while the podcast still runs, I'm going to be able to get one of you people who is an email person or who is a WhatsApp person to get you guys in love with the phone and using the phone as an easy way to promote your business. Because there are lots of people out there who, apart from those who use the phone wrong, there still are a huge number of people who don't actually like using the phone, who don't like receiving phone calls, and who prefer to keep sending emails and SMSs. I didn't know it was a thing until maybe 5, 7 years ago, a really long time ago, when I came across a really successful baker in Abuja, not a wedding baker. Her thing was novelty cakes. I can't remember the name of her handle. Anyway, maybe I'll mention it in a future show. So her thing was novelty cakes, golf courses, uh, a turntable, what else? A jet, camera, makeup bag, all kinds of things. I've seen her do really, really cool stuff. A football. Okay, well, she said the football was quite easy. So, yeah, I've seen her do all kinds of things. So, her specialty is novelty cakes. And I was surprised to find out that she had achieved the level of success that she had. Not like she was a multimillionaire or anything, but, weekly inquiries, people reaching in all the time. And she admitted to me that she doesn't like using the phone. She's not going to use the phone. She's not going to make any phone calls, no matter what anybody says. And she had the WhatsApp messages to as proof to show that her method works. Because while we were there, even more messages were coming in, people making inquiries, and so as far as she's concerned, doing good without the phone. I'm not going to bother without the phone. I still think she could be a whole lot more. I still think her business could be a whole lot more if she learns how to use the phone effectively. But anyway, that's a grouse for another day. So I guess I'm just confessing that I keep on harping on and on about the phone because I'm hoping that one day I'm going to be able to take those of you who are WhatsApp and email people and get you to use the phone effectively and get your business to explode for lots of reasons. We can explore that in future episodes. So, the number one suggestion on how to use the phone the right way in business is to make sure that you don't have too many numbers. Is that a problem? Yes. My father in law, okay, well, he's not a business person, he's retired. He has like 5 numbers. So, whenever people ask me, now, what's Mr. Wellerman's phone number? I just say, well, these are all the phone numbers. And they say, which one should I call? I say, well, what I do is I start from the top and work my way down to the bottom. Eventually, he will answer one of them. So, there are people like my father in law who have 5 numbers, and you're in business and you have 5 numbers. The problem is, it's difficult to promote on marketing material if you have 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Let's assume that there's somebody with 10 phone numbers out there. The highest I've seen is 5. So, it's difficult to promote on marketing material because there's limited space. You're going to talk to your design guy, and your design guy is going to say, look, we have limited space. We can't put these 5 numbers here. Pick one or two. And so you pick one or two and put on this flyer, and then you put one or two on another flyer. After a while, you can't remember which one you have used for business the most. And then you forget to load up credit on one of them, and then it becomes, what's that word? Not invalid. There's something in Nigeria where if you don't use your phone a lot, the phone companies, the mobile operators, just they take the number down. So after a while, a couple get taken down. You can't remember which ones were taken down, and it can become quite a mess when it comes to promoting your phone numbers if you have too many of them. But then, if you have only 2 or 3 phone numbers, that's easy. When your design guy says, okay, this is the design for the billboard or for the Instagram or for the Google ad or whatever, which phone number should we use? You can say squeeze 3 of them in because that can be done. You can't put 3 phone numbers on a flyer. You can't put 3 phone numbers on a billboard, and And then, of course, it's easy to remember. If one of them is, what's the word? I don't know what the word is. Let me just say defunct, even if defunct is not the right word. So one of those numbers is defunct or out of commission or whatever. It's easy to know that, okay, the MTN works, the Glow works, the Etisalat one doesn't work. And yeah, you adjust accordingly. So make sure you don't have too many phone numbers. In my own opinion, if you're like my dear father-in-law and you have 5 numbers and you're a business person, I think you've gone too far. I think 2 or 3 is okay. In my own opinion, I think 2 actually is cool. One phone number, family members, one phone number, exclusively business. But of course, you're going to put 2 of them out there because there are times when MTN service is good and Glow service might be bad and a Tesla service might be shaky. So that's, I think, the main reason why Nigerian people, business people, have multiple phone numbers. But don't get 5. That's too much. Then you also need to make sure that all your numbers are publicly available. You'd be surprised that I have to say this, but there are lots of people who are still making this mistake in 2023. For those of you who have listened to an older episode where I spoke about trying to reach out to podcasting networks in Nigeria. Okay, this is how podcasting works. You have individual contributors like me who have individual shows, and then there's some people who come together to form a syndicate so that they can jointly produce their podcasts. So let's say this was back in the early days when I started this podcast and I was talking exclusively to a wedding audience. If there were a couple of us who are wedding podcasters, maybe like a wedding planner with our own podcast, me, the wedding photographer, with my own podcast, and maybe a video guy with a podcast, and let's see who else. Okay, let's just leave it at those 3. Okay, no, we'd have to do more than that to be a syndicate. Let's say there was 5 or 6 of us who are doing podcasts in different aspects in the wedding planning, in the wedding at the event space. We would come together and call ourselves the Abuja Event Podcasters Network or something, and then we jointly promote each other on our own shows. So I would be making my podcast, and then I would shout out the other podcasts. Like, hey, if you're looking for a wedding planner, you want to learn something about wedding planning, contact so and so. Listen to our podcast on blah 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 blah. So that's what a podcasting syndicate or a podcasting network was. So at the time, I was thinking, it would be a nice way to promote the show by reaching out to Nigerian podcast networks or Nigerian podcast syndicates to see where I could find a nice home, especially since lots of podcasts out there are gist related, not too many of them, gist and gossip, news, current affairs, trendy stuff, what else, fashion, those sorts of things. Agony aunt that's calling in for advice on relationships and things like that. So I figured it would be nice since there's lots of space in the business podcasting space for my show to find a home on one of these syndicates. And the biggest problem that I found, I mentioned in the previous podcast, was I just couldn't find a phone number. I couldn't find a phone number. You check, you find a website or something, but then I couldn't find a phone number so I can call and speak to someone. There are some people who don't put the phone numbers, they don't make it visible, but then they have that WhatsApp link, that is it whatsapp.me / something something, and then there's a string of letters and numbers, but then if you click on that, it takes you straight to a WhatsApp chat. And surprisingly, people are not even taking advantage of that. I know there's some people who do that. It's popular on, what's that one called? Instagram. It's popular on Instagram. An easy way for people to chat and get through to you. Like my friend, the cake artist, she's been doing that for a very long while. You open to her profile, you don't see the number displayed, so you can't tap on call, but then you click on that wa.me. something, and then it opens up the WhatsApp window, and then you're chatting with her, you send her a message. So I couldn't find a number. And surprisingly, for one that I couldn't find a number, but I found 3 email addresses, I responded. Sorry, not responded. I sent an email and nobody responded. So yes, it sounds like common sense to us, but there are lots of people out there who, when they set up the Instagram, they don't put the phone number. They put a link there that says, no. On Instagram, where you click, there's one of the buttons there is contact. So you can set contact to be either phone number, message, or email. You're surprised the number of people who put it as email. They don't even want the phone call option or the text option. And there are people who create websites and then they don't put phone numbers there. So make sure that your phone numbers are publicly available. Because if you don't put your phone number out there on social media, on billboards or websites, no one will know where the phone numbers are, and nobody can call in. And in Abuja and in Lagos, anyway, pastors don't make that mistake. They're publicizing an event. Come to God, Jesus Christ, King of Glory, Evangelical Mission, services every this and this and that and that. Come for your miracle. Come for your fruit of the womb. Come for your millionaire breakthrough, and everything is there. The church is there, and if you look to the bottom corner of the billboard, most usually to the left, you see it there, the phone numbers, so that people can call in. So if our pastors are smart enough not to make that mistake, then please, as business people, we shouldn't make those mistakes as well. So make sure the numbers are publicly available. Then, okay, one mistake now that I'd say 90% of people listening to the show right now make. Remember to send an SMS, send a voicemail, send a voice note, send an email, send a something after a missed call. When I say a missed call, I mean you try calling someone and they don't answer. Most people don't do anything after that. That's a big mistake. Send an SMS, or send a voicemail, send a voice note, send an email. Now, some of these things are culture dependent. SMS is universal. So Latin America, Nigeria, United States, United Kingdom, SMS. Voicemail. I hear that. Not that I hear. There's definitely a cultural thing when it comes to those. So Nigerians do not check or have voicemail. Like I mentioned, I only know one person who has voicemail. That was my former roommate, Aibe. And he heard the podcast recording where I mentioned him. And funny thing is, he didn't even know that it was on. But he has had voicemail on for the last, I think, 15 years that I've known him, since we were back in Scotland, in Aberdeen. But he didn't realize that for the Nigerian phone number, that the voicemail is still on. So Nigerians, don't bother leaving a voicemail. Americans, I think you guys still leave voicemail. Let's see, voice notes. Okay, for voice notes, that's a Nigerian and a Latin American thing. For those of us who have WhatsApp and Telegram. Then, of course, email. But bottom line is you should be sending something. The reason why you should send something is some people need to know who tried calling. They also need to know why you tried calling before they decide if it's going to be worth their time calling back and taking further action. You can't keep complaining that people are ghosting you if you are calling them and you're not sending SMS, voicemail, voice notes, email, whatever after the missed call. How are they supposed to know who called, why you called, or if it's worth calling back over? Sometimes it's not that they are ghosting you, it's just that there's this strange number, and I'm tired of scam artists, I'm tired of spammers, I'm not going to call this strange number back. And sometimes it's not a strange number, they have it, but you're wondering that, okay, I thought me and this guy, Tavishima, I thought we had finished our business. Why this guy is calling me now? I don't know. Anyhow, I'll leave it, he'll call back. So that's the attitude. So maybe it's not that people are ghosting you. So send something. Hi, this is Tavishima. Tried calling moments ago to discuss the proposal that I sent to you last week, Thursday. Let me know when you're available to talk. Full stop. Something like that. Somebody can see that and like, oh yes, Tavishima, he sent me a proposal. I haven't called him back. Okay, I don't want to call him back. And then they might reply to the email. So you never know. These are ways for moving the agenda forward. Now, the reason why all of this came to my mind is because I've been looking for more things to sell, because I'm trying to, as part of, to boost my credibility as a sales trainer, I want to sell in different contexts. So I'm currently trying to sell a, what's called a dredger for a client. Anyway, when that one pulls through, even if it doesn't pull through, I'll come over here and make a podcast episode, let you guys know how it goes. Also, so that for Nigerians in particular, we can realize the breadth of business activities that are out there, from which people make money. Because there's the social media stuff that we all know, then there's the traditional professionals, lawyer, engineer, accountant, architect. Let's see what else. And then, of course, there are the some billionaire type folks in utilities, like what's his name? Okay, Dangote. Dangote is not in utilities yet. He has a refinery. Otedala, okay, Otedala is going to go into electricity. But bottom line, I'm just trying to say that there are the big businesses, the usual businesses that we all know. But then there's a surprising number of other businesses like maritime that the average Nigerian is not aware of. So when I had to sell that dredger, I had to educate myself, go and research really big, interesting, expensive machines. And I just didn't know that we was a thing in Nigeria. Like there's this huge maritime industry. There are people who are dredging rivers, dredging lakes. You need it as support equipment for the oil and gas industry. So it's a thing. There are people making money in different ways out there. Anyway, where was I? Okay, so yes, I was trying to sell some scrap, and I found a buyer in Lagos, and it was supposed to hook up an inspection, but the guy didn't show up for that. I'm based in Abuja, so I was actually hooking him up with the owner of the metal so that he could buy. Now, one day I woke up and I saw that I got lots of odd calls at night from different numbers, and then of course, like most people, I'm thinking, who could be calling me at 10 at night, at 12, at 2, at 3? Like, who is this? I just assumed it was a spammer, so I didn't bother. Then, of course, there are no messages to say who called and why and stuff like that, so I didn't make anything of it. Only for the guy to call again using yet another strange number, but this time during regular working hours, to say, how far? I've been calling Jide. Jide is not answering my phone. Jide is the person I hooked him up with in Lagos to go and view the scrap. Jide is not answering, and even you two are not answering. I'm like, oh, so that was you? You're the one that called me at 3 a.m., but that's not the number I have for you. Say, yeah, that was my wife's number. Okay, which one are you calling now? This one is my friend's number. So, it's not quite the same as having different phone numbers, but you get my point. So the solution in this case, if he only has 2 or 3 regular numbers that he's been using, then folks like me or Jide, who had been trying to reach, we would know those numbers. Even if he had called with his wife's phone number a couple of times, I mean, we'd be used to it. We'd store it as, okay, let me not use his real name. Would have stored it as so and so wife phone number, something like that. So, 2 or 3 phone numbers. Then, also, he could have called during regular working hours. That's something I forgot to mention. Definitely not at night, because most business people, most Nigerian business people don't like receiving phone calls at night, except if it's an emergency. The average Nigerian person, as far as they're concerned, I would say the average Nigerian person by 10 or maybe by midnight, I think they're closed for the day. And, they'll respond to you maybe 8 a.m. or 10 tomorrow. Then, so don't call at night. So, and then if you had sent a message or WhatsApp, like if I woke up and I saw those 4 missed calls and then 2 SMSs like, hey, this is Lekon. I tried calling Jide. He's not answering. I'm ready for the inspection. How far? Are you guys still interested? I would have known like, oh, okay, this is the guy. And I would have called him back using his number or any of these other numbers. That's because I would now know who was calling, why they're calling, and what I need to do to get the ball rolling again. And that is why all these suggestions are really, really important on how to use the phone. I know it seems like common sense, but you'd be surprised the number of people that don't send messages after missed calls, and the number of people like all the Nigerian podcasting syndicates or networks out there who don't even have a single phone number on the Instagram or on the website to promote the syndicate, and they don't respond to emails. So that's all for today. Remember to subscribe for free. It won't cost you a thing. The show is Sales for the Nigerian Business Person podcast. Subscribe for free on Spotify, Google, Apple iTunes, Pocket Cast, Anchor, Overcast, or any podcast player of your choice. Also, connect with me on LinkedIn. The name is Tabishima Ayede. If you need to spell it, just look at the podcast player. My name is right there, next to the photo of the handsome person. And so, Tabishima, it rhymes with Hiroshima, just in case you need help remembering. And I'll see you guys at the next episode.